The Utah State University onion research team has been interested in looking at a systems or landscape scale approach to managing onion thrips and iris yellow spot virus. So we've been focused on evaluating some of these farm-scape factors. In particular, we've been looking at things like the nitrogen rate that's applied to the field, how much nitrogen is available in the soil and the plant tissue, previous crop rotation scheme, soil quality, insecticide sprays, their frequency, and the different modes of action. But we've also expanded to look at more of a landscape scale. What are the crops growing nearby? We found that alfalfa is a particularly good host for overwintering onion thrips, not nearly as good as winter wheat or even summer corn that could provide a respite during the summer. We've looked at cull piles of onions and volunteer onions. And then more recently, we've been focused looking at weedy ditch banks, the types of weeds that grow along the edges of fields. These in particular can be green bridge plants that help the thrips and virus overwinter and move into the onion crop the next year.
I'm Claudia Nischwitz. I'm the extension plant pathologist at Utah State University. We're here in one of the onion fields in Syracuse. And I'm going to talk about iris yellow spot virus, who is the most important disease Utah onion growers see. The virus is transmitted by onion thrips. Both the virus and the thrips can survive on weeds. The virus has to survive on weeds that overwinter during the field season. And then so next spring the plants grow out again. Thrips reproduce on those weeds, and the larvae have to acquire the virus from those plants, and then they can transmit the virus throughout their lives. Onion thrips themselves, if they're adults, cannot acquire the virus and then transmit it.
I'm Sean Olson with Utah State University Extension. I'd like to talk to you about 4 weeds that have been found to be important in thrips and iris yellow spot getting into the field. These 4 weeds, 3 are winter annuals, the other is field bindweed, but they all green up early in the spring, and so they serve as kind of a overwintering reservoir for the virus and the thrips. Now as we look out at this field, it's very well taken care of, not a lot of weeds in it. But if we look here on the edge, a lot of these weeds are found along the edge of the field. And so I want to show you some of the key characteristics of these weeds. And as I mentioned, these have been found to be a reservoir for thrips, overwintering, and also iris yellow spot virus. So the first weed that I want to mention is flicksweed. Now it's dried up already this time of year. It has yellow flowers. Normally it'll have some finely dissected leaves here along the base. And you can see by these scars that they're alternately spaced along the stem. And it also has this unique seed pod. So this is flicksweed. The next weed that I want to mention is common mallow. And it has these round or kind of heart-shaped leaves. It has pink or white flowers. And one characteristic that a lot of people notice about this plant, this is the fruit, and it's a small round button, and a lot of people will tell stories about eating these buttons when they were young growing up. So common mallow. The next weed is prickly lettuce, and it deserves its name. It has these little spines along the back of the leaf, also along the stem. These leaves kind of come around the stem, clasp the stem, and again they are alternately spaced along the plant. These will grow quite tall, up to 5 feet tall. So prickly lettuce. The last one I wanted to mention is field bindweed. This is not a super healthy sample, but this is a perennial, and the leaves are kind of shaped like an arrowhead. This plant can grow 20 feet deep. The flowers are white or pinkish Very hard to control weed, but again, it's a reservoir source of Irish yellow spot virus and the thrips, and so they can move from the edge of the field out into the onion field and cause problems later in the season. So field bindweed. So a possible strategy is, if you have a lot of these weeds along the edge of the field, target and see if you can control them, because these 4 weeds have found to be, in particular, hosts for these insects and diseases. You may not be able to eliminate all the weeds along the ditch bank and edge, but if you could target these 4 weeds, it may reduce the amount of thrip and disease going out into the field.
So you can see here in this field where they've burned the edges, the ditch banks of the field, and that's a good way to help reduce those weed populations. Also targeted herbicide applications, cultivation in your field to remove weeds. Those are all good techniques to keep down the populations of weeds. We have learned by sampling thrips in fields that we tend to see more onion thrips near the field edges as compared to the more center of the field. We feel this is due to the presence of the weeds and other alternate crops around onion fields, which the ones that we found the most thrips on are alfalfa and, to a lesser extent, wheat and corn. And so we set up our sampling plots so that we have a plot near the edge of the field and then one more interior so that we can compare those different numbers of thrips, but we do tend to find more near the field edges.
I wanted to mention a resource. This is a book called Weeds of the West. It's 600 plus pages, nice color pictures of weeds, good description, has the scientific name, common name, often several common names. So this is a great resource if you're looking to identify weeds in your field. Weeds of the West, it's available from the County Extension Office or State Publications Office.